Hey everybody, I hope you're all having a good day. Now, a few things we're going to talk about today is regarding some policy from Square Enix, which I find to be interesting. You see, in real life, I am a lawyer, and one of the things I like to look at is how companies tend to oftentimes abuse the law itself. And one of the things I've noticed as far as being litigious and stuff goes is oftentimes you will find that it's more so, in my opinion at least, Americans love to sue for everything like left and right and from some other first world countries as well. And where I'm based in South Africa as well, I also find that the wealthier people who live in the first world portion of South Africa also love to sue left and right. And oftentimes it involves an abuse of court process and laws. And the thing about winning a legal battle is that you are fighting two fights. The first fight is for if you've got money, it is the case, and then the second fight is money itself. Whereas if you don't have money, the first fight is money. If you can't get over the hurdle of having money to fight your case, you by default oftentimes end up losing. I've seen this many times where people do have good cases, they just don't have the money to hire a good lawyer, and they don't have proper legal representation, and that's it. The court just rules in favor of the other party because you couldn't argue your case or articulate it properly as per the law or how it is supposed to be handled. Now, this article in particular, the headline reads, from bounding into comics, Square Enix adopts new customer harassment policy. Final Fantasy Studio can now deny products and services to players whose interaction with an employee exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful. Now, here's where things get a bit wild. The headline over here says that it's with an interaction with an employee of Square Enix. So, what I don't get is, if you buy a product, well, technically you are the legal owner of it, but at least in South Africa you are. Digital products are still in a grey area, and companies only keep it that way, obviously. But if you've got a physical product, like you've bought a physical copy of Final Fantasy VII, effectively what they're saying is they're going to find some way to block you from getting updates, and how on earth are they going to do that? Now, going back to the article, in seeking to protect their workforce from undue and particularly over-the-top harassment, here's where the problem comes in. These guys always move harassment around like a goalpost, but we'll see what happens now. Or they move the goalpost whenever it comes to harassment, sorry. So Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest parent company Square Enix has adopted a new customer harassment policy, which gives them the right to take action as necessary against any individual who threatens the company's operations or an employee's safety. Now here's where it comes in to be very interesting. They use broad language of saying it threatening its operations. Operations in what way? For example, if they launch a trailer for a game and you say that that trailer sucks and everybody starts to believe that it does suck and they maybe unanimously follow you and sales go low, are they saying that that's part of it? That's going to be something interesting to look into. Now, let's go on further into the article. Announced on January 10th via an official post made by Square Enix official website, this new policy was given the green light by the developer in response into a number of incidents involving a fan's interaction with one of the employees. Now, I don't understand though which employee it is in particular, because it doesn't state here in the article, but let's just go further into the article itself. Square Enix believes that the feedback, comments, and requests received from our customers are essential to the advancement of the group's products and services. Therefore, we are committed to strive to apply your voice to improving our products and services, explained the developer of their decision to implement said policy. At the same time, there are instances where certain customers take actions directly or through our support centers or towards our group executives, employees, partners. And this is where it gets interesting. Partners. So people who are not employed by Square Enix but are affiliated with them effectively is what I'm interpreting that to be. Who are involved in the creation and distribution of our group products and services that constitute customer harassment, such as denial of personality, violence, defamation, intimidation, advance notice of wrongdoing, advance notice of obstruction of business, harassment. So, effectively what they've said over here is everything that's going on with Sweet Baby Inc. from the last year, they are now going to start suing people left and right, basically, on behalf of Sweet Baby. Now, I believe, and you'll see later on in this article, they mention that this is based on Japanese law. I suspect that this is being done by somebody in the American division of Square Enix. I was about to say Sweet Baby Inc. So they're working together and colluding over there, somebody in that department. And then they're using Japanese law to enforce it on a global scale so that they can then say, no, it's Japan that did this. It's not us. Normally, companies who have international branches tend to do these things. So, what they'll do is, from what I've observed from my own career as well, they'll have like a branch in, like, let's just say Europe and another branch in America. They will then try to use policies that they've created in Europe in America, even though those policies are not in line with American law. It only takes time. It's only when you go to court and fight your battle that it comes out in the wash, and then only do they back down. But the problem with that is, like I said, you got a huge company, and if you don't have deep pockets, then you already lost the battle as far as finances go, and usually by default, like I said, you end up losing the legal battle afterwards. Unless you're able to meticulously fight your own case as your own lawyer, then that's different. Going back to the article, such actions do not only prevent our employees or partners from engaging in their work with a sense of security, but also causes disruptions to other customers, they asserted. Square Enix will not tolerate harassment and will take action as necessary. So what they're saying over here is, anytime somebody makes a YouTube video criticizing either Square Enix's direction of whatever it is, or alternatively they make a video criticizing like Sweet Baby Inc. for their awful writing and point it out in games like Forspoken, for example, then, or I'm not too sure if even Sweet Baby Inc. worked on that game, but point out games failures like Forspoken, then obviously Square Enix is going to take that as you harassing them, basically. Because as far as harassment goes, when it comes down to proving it, it's usually a very difficult thing to do in court, but to allege it is very easy. So in a lot of harassment cases, and I've seen this in real life, people will just file paperwork after paperwork after paperwork after paperwork, and the court then has to reach a decision whether it is indeed harassment. Now, if you've got a major company just hitting you with like a 1,000 page document, and you pitch up there with a piece of paper, even though you're innocent, it's going to be very difficult for you to get through all of that if you don't know what you're doing. Now, back to the article. To this end, the actual policy holds that should the Kingdom Hearts series developer determine that an individual has engaged in an action against one of our employees or partners, and they make it very specific to say that our or partners that exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful, they reserve our right to cease providing support services or to refrain from providing our group's products and services. So, effectively, you can't buy from them, and I'm curious as to how they're going to enforce that. For example, if you're buying through Steam, you could have 10 different accounts. What are they going to do? Ask Steam for your identification of some kind, or try to get a hold of your banking details, and if payment comes out of that bank or credit card, then they're going to block it. It's going to be an interesting one to see this, but also at the same time, this is only going to cause more people now to pirate their games wherever they can. Further, in regards to those cases where such action is egregious or with malicious intent, there we go. Whenever it comes to malicious intent, normally what a lot of companies like to do is they will shift the goalposts in that. So, for example, if you had a grandma with a walking stick outside of a business, and let's just say she happened to be some sort of climate activist on social media, they can then phone the police, and I've seen this happen before, where they will be like, nope, we got this very dangerous person wielding a weapon outside of our offices, and according to her social media, she hates what we do, and she's out here with a weapon. The police shows up and they see an old lady with a walking stick, and then obviously from there, police have to do their job, arrest her, then it goes to court, and you have to fight this and that. And that's effectively what these guys are doing when it comes down to malicious intent. Like I said, they don't have to prove anything when they make the allegations. They just got to be careful not to get sued or countersued. And the only way you're going to sue a big company like this is if you get together in a class action lawsuit, probably. And, well, you're going to have to prove damages, and it's a bit of a mess. But as far as each individual case goes, unless you got the money to fight it, they will just sue you, and there's not really much you can do to them, if that makes sense. The company now reserves its right to protect its employees and partners and take legal action or criminal proceedings upon consulting the police and or lawyers. And that's the thing as well. The company itself, I want to be clear with you, as far as criminal proceedings, that goes with each and individual company. Whatever you're doing has to be a crime against the state that you are living in. For example, let's just say that I live in a place where if you steal a loaf of bread, it's not illegal, right? You live in a country where you steal a loaf of bread, it is illegal. It's a crime, theft. In my country, it's not regarded as theft, I'm fine. In your country, it's regarded as theft, I go to prison. Well, I'm not too sure. prison is the right word. I'm pretty sure they'll just sentence me to like an hour of community service or something. Now, the company results, right? Okay, I read through that. And now, going back to the article, according to Sqare Enix, the actions are considered customer harassment or to exceed socially acceptable behavior or is harmful. Include, and then there's a whole list of here. Act of violence, violent behavior. Okay, that's understandable. Anybody has a right for that now. But the problem with this is, what do they call and consider an act of violence? As in physical violence, or just saying, hey, your product sucks, and they'll be like, oh, he's violent. Abusive language, intimidation, coercion, duress, excessive pursuit or reprimand, defamation, slander, denial of personality, personal attacks. So what they've done over here is, I'm just going to leave this on screen for a little while for you to read. Now, from my legal mind, from what I see over here, is that these guys are purposely using vague, broad wording. And the intention of doing this is that by using it in such a manner, they can by default cast this entire net on anybody regardless of what you do. So you can, from the way they're doing this over here, say that I go onto Twitter and I say, look, we're going to boycott the next Final Fantasy game. Then you're going to be like, aha, that there is intimidation, that there is coercion. He's trying to coerce the other people to do the same. He's intimidating the company, saying that he's got 1 million followers, doing blah 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 blah. This affects our personal operations, blah 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 blah. That's how these things tend to operate. And then it's only when you go to court that they may end up losing, provided you know how to win a case like this. Now, when it comes down for these kind of situations, I don't think people have much to fear. My opinion about this is simple. Close your wallets and walk away. You don't need these people. They have a, almost 3-decade backlog of games for you to play through. And if you're smart, you know how to get your hands on them from whatever means. And like with me, I visit a lot of these used game, not only used game, but used good stores. And they've got like physical games galore in most cases. The prices are unrealistic, but I do buy them. And I got an extensive collection. So if I never bought, and I know I'm bragging over here, but as far as physical games go, if I were to never buy another game for the next 40 years, I am completely covered with my schedule. If I keep the same schedule of playing a maximum of like 1 game to completion a month, then I will quite frankly be able to play games right until like I'm in my 70s, and I'm fine with that. So it's not like we're really affected by this. Now, as noted by Sqare Enix, though the policy was based upon Japanese law, it is still applicable globally in accordance with local laws and regulations. And to be clear with you, that's a bunch of bullshit. So when it comes down to these kind of things over here, they're saying this because they want to ensure that you understand in America that they're going to be doing these things, and they're going to be basically using Japanese law as a scapegoat to do it. Because I can tell you now, this is not coming from the Japanese division of Sqare Enix. From the way this entire thing is worded and the way this has all been shoved, and they made it clear to go and say that it's based upon Japanese law, so that way your eyes and your attention is diverted toward Japan, and your eye is directed toward that. This, in fact, is a trap. So what they try to do is, for example, you have no issue with Japan, for example, and now all of a sudden they say the Japanese are the one who are doing this. So now what happens? You're going to get a crowd of people going to Japan and doing this, and then what's going to happen? The Japan division is going to be like, no, but this is necessary. We need it. We need to enforce it as hard as possible. This is a trap for everybody, for those of you who are paying attention. So people, I suspect Sweet Baby Inc. and whoever their connections are at Sqare Enix in America have come up with this plan, in my opinion, where they've done all of this and are now trying to purposely get a crowd of people to go over to Japan and start lighting fires over there. That way Japan can be like, you know what, the West is right. We are not safe. So whatever happens, do not fall for this bait. Going back to the article, at current, it's unknown just exactly how and by what metrics the developer will hand out penalties. While speculation suggests they will likely consider each infraction on a case-by-case basis, concrete information as to the process will ultimately have to wait until such time as when Sqare Enix performs the first official enforcement of their new policy. I can tell you this now. Sqare Enix, the people who are doing this are not the people who are in charge of the operations of Sqare Enix, or the financial part of it, because this is very bad for business. The moment you start doing these things to customers, all it will take is for the rest of them to close their wallets. What Square Enix fails to realize is this is not a company, or rather, the people who are pretending to be working at Square Enix, rather the partners of them. What the partners of Square Enix fail to realize is whether you like it or not, it is not the new generation of gamers that have kept Square alive. It's not the new generation of gamers that save Square Enix from bankruptcy back in the day, or filing for bankruptcy. When they did that first Final Fantasy game, it was either the baby boomers, whatever you want to call them, boomers, or the millennials that did it. All of these people are now adults. So make no mistake, if you're going to kick a hornet's nest, especially one which is self-aware, there is going to be some form of retaliation. And in this case, that retaliation comes in the form of everybody closing their wallets and walking away. I've said this before and I'll say it many times. You owe these companies nothing. They provide a product or they provide a service. You pay for that product and service. You are a customer. You have rights as a customer. If their products or services are not in line with the rights that you have recourse against them. Now, I'm not trying to say you need to go and sue them left and right and do this and that. But if this is how they want to behave and this is how they want to carry on, then guess what? We've saved them from bankruptcy before. We're not saving them again. Good luck. With that being said, guys, I'm out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.